So I have been trying to get you in here for like 100 years. Terrie McEvoy. Hi. I feel like you're my friend now.
I know. Well, we are friends.
Of course we are. It's great to have you.
Thanks so much. And I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get in.
Oh my God.
We had organised to come in. I had organised to come in last month and then Sydney got sick. So I had to cancel. And last night Sydney wasn't well. And myself and Dave were up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, you're just going to have to take tomorrow off. And I was like, I cannot cancel on Jenny again. So he's at home with Sydney and I'm going to fly home after this.
Is she okay?
She's grand, yeah. You know yourself. Like they just pick up these little bugs.
Listen, and she'd be fine in a couple of hours
100%,
again.
100%, yeah.
I have so many questions to ask you today. You've so much going on in your life, Terrie. Like you really do. Listen, come here to me. I don't even sleep anymore.
I know. Same preach to the choir. Coffee. Well, not coffee, tea. tea.
So I want to talk to you today about your wedding. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about Sydney. I want to talk about your podcast.
Yes.
I want to talk about how busy you are. So I think we'll start talking about you and your job and what you do. Yeah. You're back into nursing. Yeah. You're blogging. Tell me how you got into all of this.
So, well, I've been a nurse forever. Like I went straight into nursing in 2007 after I did my leaving cert. And then I was just kind of nursing away. And I always used to notice that when I was always sharing different things online, like as in my outfits, going out with the girls. Like I was always traveling, Jenny. I did a bit of Miss Ireland. I came second runner up back in 2000.
I don't know how you're not Miss World.
No, would you stop? Oh my goodness, no.
You're gorgeous.
Oh God, Jenny's the biggest hype girl, by the way, everybody. But yeah, so I kind of was like in that industry. I was doing a bit of modelling back in the day, you know, standing in your bikini at random events, I don't know. But yeah, so I was kind of in that industry, and then I was sharing things online, like what I was wearing, where I was going. And then I always used to notice, like even on Facebook, I was getting all these requests. Yeah. But I was never like accepting. I was like, who are all these people? And then in 2015, I kind of started taking Instagram a little bit more seriously. And now when I say seriously, I was on Snapchat every day, just talking to myself.
No, you weren't.
I was just talking to myself, sharing makeup. And I just kind of started noticing that it was growing.
Getting popular.
Yeah, so like 4,000, 5,000 followers. And then I shared that I was heading away to Australia with my husband, boyfriend at the time. Yeah. And I just noticed it really started taking off.
Wow.
And then I was over in Australia. We did a bit of traveling beforehand. I was sharing all the tips and tricks. Went to Australia. Instagram, I think, was at 60,000 people by the time I got to Australia. And then we were just sharing our life and the crack, Jenny. Like we were just having the crack.
Yeah.
There was no like...
normal stuff.
Yeah, there was no
it's
strategy.
Not really normal to be going off and living in Australia, but you know what I mean? Like so many people probably related to it or wanted to be doing the same thing you're doing.
And I often say that I think it was really good time because I don't think anybody else in Ireland was really documenting how they went to Australia, particularly nursing, and how they got set up and, you know, where they went in Southeast Asia, where it was safe, where it wasn't, how much did they save. I don't think anybody was really sharing that at the time. So I think it really resonated with a lot of people because people wanted to do it, but they just didn't know how to do it. And we just went and did it.
And did you work when you were there, Terrie?
Yeah, of course. So I was nursing the whole time I was in Australia. So I was working agency shifts. So I worked absolutely everywhere. I got so much experience. I loved agency nursing.
Wow.
And then I started to clinical facilitate. So basically I was working with Western Sydney University and the University of Technology. And I was basically looking after student nurses on placement. Wow. And I absolutely adored that because I love students. And it's so funny now because my friends that I worked with for like 4 years on a ward in a big Dublin hospital before I went off, they were like, you were made for students. Because as soon as I seen them, I was like, you come with me. Like, and I was like, bringing them in and showing them how to do things. And, you know, if they didn't know something, I'd be teaching them. And, you know, I just loved that element of nursing. Like I loved sharing it because I'm so passionate about it and I really enjoy it.
Wow.
It's what I was made to do. And I just love sharing that passion. And I do think it helps, like, you know, because nursing,
definitely.
When you're going into it, it's tough, Jenny. It's really, really tough. So
I don't know how anyone does it. Like I see a bit of blood and I'm like, oh, but I'm very good at other things, but I'm actually, oh God, I can't cope. My stomach is just so weak. So you're unreal.
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, every nurse, like they're all incredible. But
incredible.
Yeah, so it was something that I really tapped into in the nursing realm that I really, really loved. And I did that for 4 years. And then we came home from Australia just in time for the pandemic. I know. I was like, I'm going to come home and we're going to travel and work. I'm going to work for myself finally. 4 months later, back in it. Like, in my scrubs. This is not how I imagined it to go. But yeah, we got married before we came home.
Yes.
And it was amazing. But yeah, so I suppose Instagram just kept growing and growing and growing. And then, you know, through the pandemic, that's when I kind of really started to be self-employed and work in the whole content creation world independently. And I've kind of done a few bank shifts. So there's a thing called bank nursing. So you basically sign up to a bank in a hospital, and when they're short, you kind of get pulled in to fill in the gaps, or you work whatever way that you want. And it works really well for, like, say, nurses who have big families, or, you know, they can't commit to working on a ward. They can just do, you know, little bits here and there.
What they can. Yeah,
what they can. And it's great. And that's the thing about nursing, is you'll always have work. So I was kind of doing that throughout the last few years. And then, just kind of keeping going with the...
Do you know what I love about you? And, you know, I'm going to be fangirling now here. Yourself and David, like myself and Martin, just love the two of you. And we just get on so well, the four of us.
Anytime we see each other, it's like
what is that? Can't get a word in. It's just mad. But you kind of remind me of me a little bit, in that you're such you are such a hard worker. And I always say this, and I've said it 100 times in the last few weeks because of my book launch. My poor late dad used to always say to us, nobody will ever give you anything for nothing. You have to work for everything you have. And you do have to work hard for everything you have.
100%.
And you absolutely deserve that, you know. And you even coming along to my book launch that night, you know, and I know how difficult, you know, even getting into town for you would have been, because you live miles away, like, you know, and coming in just to kind of be there. And I just thought, you know what, that just says a lot.
But I'm a firm believer in, you know, supporting people.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm just a firm believer in supporting people in general, and especially women in business.
Yes.
And I think that you get what you give as well. Like, I think if you give out positive vibes and you look after people around you, it will come back. And it's so true.
Because, Terrie, I'd say, and I know this is an awful thing to say, and I've actually had a little bit of negativity recently about me. And I'm like,
really? How could anybody find you, like,
yeah, do you know what? I've had a couple, but you know what I have?
You're the most inoffensive person.
No, but I was like, oh my God. Like,
what I will say is, what I've learned over the years is just don't take it personal. It's nothing to do with you. It's usually a reflection of what's going on with them.
Of course.
And you have to, I think when you show empathy like that, it doesn't become your problem anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And people are going through a lot at the moment. Like, the cost of living is through the roof. Like, it's just, whenever I get negativity online, I just kind of, I don't engage.
Yeah.
I used to respond and be like, well, actually, you're not right. Do you know? And, like, get involved. And then I'd be wasting my energy, like, because 9 times out of 10, they used to come back and be like, oh, okay, sorry. Or like, and then you're just like, why am I engaging in negativity? Like, you know, everybody has their own things going on. And I truly don't think that there's evil people out there intending on hurting you. I think they're just trying to express their opinion, or maybe you hit a nerve with them and they're just trying to
express themselves.
Just trying to tell you how they feel.
I'm thrilled that you don't let it get to you.
No, I don't. I used to.
I'm just sort of giving my little issues lately as an example, but it's good to hear that you don't let it get to you, because I suppose I don't understand why they do it, but you know, because you're such a nice person.
But there's a good saying, and it's, you know, don't let the good go to your head and the bad go to your heart.
Yeah. That's so
really important.
Right. So I also then want to talk on it about your wedding, and I want to talk about, how did David propose to you? Everyone already probably knows this, but I don't.
Do you know? Oh my God.
I have so much to learn about the two of you.
How long have you got? You're going to be sorry you had me on this podcast. It's going to be like 3 hours long. But so myself and David were together for, oh Jesus, I think we were 4 or 5 years together. Yeah, 5 years. I think so. He's going to kill me. David's a sentimental one, by the way. I think I should be the man in the relationship.
He's going to hit you with the Dyson.
The Dyson. My husband loves hoovering, for those of you who don't know. He drives me mad. Vacuuming, should I say. Oh. But anyway, so we were together 5 years, and I was on him all the time. I was like, what's the story? Like, what's happening? I'm wasting my time here. Wasting the best years of my life here. Like, so I used to be like always joking about it, but I actually didn't really think it would happen. Do you know what I mean?
I was only messing.
Like I was. You just don't be thinking. And then, so we went to Portugal. We were home in Ireland for a sick family member, and we went to Portugal after a month of being home, and we just kind of went for a little bit of a break. And David's mum had passed away a month beforehand, and myself and his mum were actually the same ring size. So I tried on her ring after she'd passed, and I was like, God, it fits my finger. So that's how David actually measured the ring, because he knew that I was the same ring size as his mum. But we went to Portugal anyway, and I didn't know anything was happening. And he said he tried to ask me to marry him in the Benlaguil caves in Portugal. So it's basically this place where you kayak to. There's no way to get to it other than kayaking, or else
I wouldn't get that, can't swim. Forget it.
So we kayaked to this beach, right, which is under a big cave, and I had done my hair and makeup because I was like, I'm going to get a few photos in here, like, you know, for Instagram or whatever. And I had like my Olympus pen with me. I had like a vlogging camera. I had my phone with me, and it was all like stuffed into the kayak. And I was like, we cannot topple. And he was like, yeah. But he had the fucking ring in his runner, right? So in the back of the kayak.
In his runner?
In his runner, right?
Jesus
now, thank God it was a token ring. But anyway, we got to the beach and we were about to like get onto the beach. We were still like kind of 2 waves away, and the kayak just turned, and what happened was we went like into a washing machine. It's the only way I can describe it. I mean, I was upside down the kayak drowning. All I could see was bubbles. I was like, and then we both ended up on the beach, and I was like a drowned rat, and I was like, look at the state of me. And I was like trying to run after the cameras. That's what happened. I was running after the cameras, and I was like, David, help me. And he was like running after the runner, and I was like, forget your runners, the cameras, like screaming at him. And people were like having such a chill time in this beach, and they're looking at us going, oh my God, it's like the Griswolds. Like, what is happening here? Like, just screaming. So I was giving out to him for chasing his runner. Anyway, we got onto the beach. I was like a drowned rat, and he managed to hang on to the ring. I was like airing out my cameras, and he said it wasn't the right time because I was absolutely fuming. So he was like, I knew because your hair and makeup was in bits. I was like, yeah, okay. So anyway, I think
didn't know any of that.
Yeah, it was a disaster. And then he said he tried another night. He had organised a dinner or something, and then I just didn't want to go that night. I was like, no, I don't want to go out tonight. I'm so tired. And he was like, okay. And then he got on to his sisters, and he was like, here, I need help here. Like, so himself and his sisters organised in a beautiful hotel it was basically to get me there and to like make it happen. So they organised a beautiful beach, and I had Marry Me on the beach. And yeah, so David told me that his brother, or who did he actually tell me? He told me it was a friend of his that was staying at this hotel and we were going for dinner. And I was like, who's this friend? I don't know if I want to go. I'm not here, we're meeting someone new. Like, being a total little wagon, like. Just a wagon, like. I was like, I'm so tired, like. Anyway, so we went, I got dressed up, and we went down. And we got to the hotel, and I was like, is your friend rich? This is unreal. Like, it's a really, really nice hotel. And he was like, yeah, he was really sketchy. Oh. Anyway, the staff came out, they were all in on it, and they were like, yeah, your friend's down on the beach. I was like, we're having dinner on the beach. And he was like, yeah, down on the beach. So anyway, we got to the beach, and it was like this cliff, and you had to walk down all these steps.
Yeah.
And the girl that was bringing us there, like, we got golf carted to the cliff, and then the girl was like, okay, see you. But I just had a weird feeling by the way she was looking at me.
Did you think he's going to
I was like, why is she looking at me like that? Because she was real like, enjoy yourself. And I was like, what is she looking at? So we went down the cliff.
Psycho.
I was like, why? And then I was like recording on my phone. I still have the video. And I was like, oh, David, they're playing our song. And he was like, are they? And I was like, yeah. And then I spotted a girl in a ditch. Like, the only way to describe it is a ditch. And she had a camera. And I was like, look, we're taking pictures of seagulls. I was like, it's really weird taking pictures of seagulls at this hour of the evening.
Seagulls.
And then I just seen the kind of camera pivot to me. And I was like, oh God, the song, the seagulls. The camera. And then I looked down, I could see like lanterns and balloons, and like I could see the shells. So I just started crying.
God.
And I was like,
that
yeah.
So
and he was like,
romantic.
I haven't asked you yet. He was like, wait. And you know, Jenny, David actually never asked me to marry you.
Oh, that's not legal.
No, it's not legal. It's all done. I'm done. I can run. But he brought me down to the shells, and he was laughing, and like, because we're such messers.
I love him.
And I was like crying. And he got down on one knee, and we have this joke, like this thing. So I am always trope box David. So every now and again, like, we'll be in the kitchen cooking or whatever, and I'll be like, what that? And I'll just like I don't even know like what it is, but I've been just doing it for 10 years, and he loves it and hates it because he makes this noise. He's like, bah! So, and I think it's gas.
No wonder your podcast is so popular. That's all I can say.
Anyway, he got down on one knee and asked me would I throat box him forever, and I was like, yeah. So he actually didn't ask me to. So anyway,
Will you throat box me?
he throat boxed me forever because he always gave out about it, but I know he secretly loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah, he
oh
loves
my
the mess.
God, that's hilarious.
He loves the madness.
So then, how long were you engaged before you got married?
A year, yeah. Yeah, we were quick because I always said, I was like, if we get engaged, I want to get married pretty quick. And I'm so glad we did because the pandemic was the following year. So, and David actually wanted to wait 2 years before we got married. He was like 2020 and I was like, no, next year. I just like...
Aren't you so glad? Oh my God.
I'm very compulsive. Like, so if I want something, it's happening now.
Because obviously I have been through, all of that with my couples, and rescheduling, and some of them had to reschedule 5 and 6 times because they wanted the number. So I'm so happy that you got married when you did.
And was it hard to like get everybody like squeezed in? I'm sure it was hectic.
Do you know what was the worst thing for me? I suppose it was the not knowing when we're all going to get back to normal.
I know.
But the government knew that we weren't going to get back to normal anytime soon. And I think my husband knew, but didn't want to say it to me because his job didn't change at all. Like he was still going to work every day. And I was at home going, what am I doing next week? So...
And when you work for yourself, it's so tough.
Absolutely. And in that industry, like where it just stopped and newborn babies, even though like you have been to my studio, so you know how big it is. I would have been able to social distance. I just wanted to be working. I didn't want to sit at home. But anyway, look, we got through it, but it was difficult for the couples. And Jen, my lovely studio manager,
she's amazing.
She is a pet. So she worked from home and she dealt with the couples because I would have been crying with them. So she wasn't crying. No, she was crying. Yeah, she was just rescheduling. So she was brilliant, but it was really tough. And last year, and I had my surgery on my head last year. It was the busiest year I've ever had for weddings.
Amazing.
Because everybody was rescheduled to last year. So I was in hospital in February. I'll never forget you. Terrie sent me a message. I'm going to tell everyone what she said.
Oh my God.
And she leaves a voice note and I will never forget it. And I always say to people, when I've been asked about my, my illness and all the rest of it, the people that you think will be there for you, sometimes are not.
I know.
You're like, oh my God, I thought she would have been absolutely there. But then Terrie leaves me a voice note and she was like, I'm just only down the road. Even if you need a pair of knickers, I'll drop them up.
She offering knickers. Like, what is wrong with me?
I get a brain tumour out. I'm not even worried about my knickers. But I just thought it was the nicest message ever, and you made me laugh out loud. It was just lovely. But yeah,
what's wrong with me? Honestly, I like just I often do things, and then afterwards I'm like, what's wrong with me?
I offered to drop her up a pair of knickers, even if it's only a pair of knickers. And I know you would have.
Of course. If went to Penny's and got you what you wanted.
But last year, after all that, it was the busiest year. So I think most of those rescheduled weddings happened last year. So I'm so glad you got to do your wedding before all that madness happened. But I want to talk about David's mum.
Yeah.
Because, I would have a lot of couples who get married and they've lost somebody and, and they remember them on the day and it's difficult. And I know how close he was to his mum and she passed away when she was quite young, didn't she?
She did, yeah. I think she was 56, 57. She was robbed.
Bless her.
Yeah.
Bless her. And I would know his sister as well, one of his sisters as well. And I just know how difficult it was on them all.
100%.
But I remember you bringing Sydney into me when she was brand new.
Yeah.
I did your bump shoot as well. Yeah. And they brought Sydney back. And was it a scarf that he had belonging to your mum? And you wrapped that around Sydney when she was born.
Yeah, it was the first thing she was wrapped in was our nanny Tina's scarf. We just wanted Tina to mind her because it was such a scary time when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Because towards the end of pregnancy I started to have like a few just kind of complications.
Yeah.
So I was really scared. So like we just made sure that the first thing Sydney came out to was our nanny Tina's hug. Like, yeah.
And then you brought that into the studio.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when I look back at those photographs, I get emotional looking at them.
I know.
And I remember like editing them going, oh God. And just the love that he has for Sydney and he's holding his mum's scarf was just so beautiful. So how did you remember her?
On the day?
On the day.
God, I felt like she was just such a huge part of the day. Like we really made sure that she was.
Yeah.
David also wanted a balance of remembering her, but like not making people sad as well, because that's not what Tina would have wanted. She she was a larger than life woman.
She was always on the beach, wasn't she?
Yeah. So that's why we got married on the cliff, because we wanted her there. But basically we had a few things. So, we had like a little chair set up for people who wanted to join us from heaven. And we had a little sign just to make sure that nobody took the chair. So like obviously we've had, grandparents pass away, and we just wanted to make sure that she had a little seat and it was up front row.
God.
I know. I can't even talk about it.
Oh God.
But so we made sure that we had it there. But yeah, there was so many different things. Like she loved a Baileys on ice, and when David was saying his speech, we had like a little Baileys on everybody's table, and everybody opened the Baileys and toasted to Tina on the day, and had like a little sign as well, just to say, the little wave, the little symbol that we kind of used to represent, I suppose, Tina.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously like David's dad mentioned her in his speech. Kriya, David's little sister, mentioned her. And of course David then as well, but like it's just so hard that she wasn't there. Like she was so missed, she would have loved it. Like she would have loved it.
She absolutely would have.
She was such a great woman.
And I've heard so many stories about her. And, and I'd follow some of the girls, his sisters on Instagram, and I'd often see them on the beach, and I constantly see you on the beach.
Yeah.
And obviously that's why.
Yeah, 100%.
So Tina, you're with them all. I know she is. And I know that David thinks about her all the time.
He does.
So it's just nice, I suppose, to tell people how you remembered.
Yeah.
How you remembered.
And there's so many different ways that you can remember a loved one on the day, but it's so individual. Like, I mean, it's so unique to the person, because like I said, it's important that you do whatever you want to remember that person. And I wanted to do so much more. Yeah. But David was just like, no, I want there to be a balance. Yeah. Because like I said, he didn't want anybody to be upset.
Yeah. And it's a happy day, but you do have to. Yeah, I think that was lovely. That was a lovely,
it was nice. And it was lovely.
And then I have to laugh when you were telling me about your photos. So tell everybody. So obviously you hired a photographer to do your photos. Yeah. But I didn't know it rained on your wedding day in Portugal.
Yeah. So it was forecasted to rain on the day and the day after. And myself and David's lucky number is 19, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 19.
Why?
We're both born the 19th. Like he proposed to me on the 19th. Like there's all these we left for Australia on the 19th. When I got my date for Sydney, it was the 19th. Like it's just the number 19. And we had booked the 19th for our wedding. But something happened with the logistics of where we got married. So we got married on a cliff, and like you need permission and stuff to do it. And I got moved to the 20th, and it fucking rained on the 20th. And I was like, see, David, see? We should have got married on the 19th. But anyway, it rained on the wedding day. It was forecasted to rain. I got ready that morning. Myself and my dad were in the car on the way to the Lady of the Rock. And I remember there was blue skies in front of me, but then I started seeing trickles on the front of the window. And I was like, is that rain? And I see my dad look behind me. And I was like, maybe it's rain. I went to look behind me. My dad just turned my face towards the sunshine, and he was like, it's okay, baby. And I was like, it's raining behind me, isn't it? It's raining. There's clouds. It's big dark clouds, isn't it? So anyway, we got there, and I just remember like arriving, and it was trickling. Oh. And I was like, oh God. So the wedding planners opened the door, who were absolutely amazing. And they just said, the wetter the rope, the tighter the knot. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
and she
it's
was
all positive.
Yeah, she was like, do you want to wait? And I was like, no, I'm going down. I'm going. So I just walked down the aisle.
I'm going to marry you now.
Yeah, I was like, I'm doing it now because it could get worse, and it's not that bad. But anyway, it stopped raining during the ceremony. It kind of picked up again towards the end. But as a result of the rain, we had organised to have a reception in the Vidamar Hotel, which is this beautiful hotel with palm trees everywhere. Oh. We had a palm tree garden organised. We had fairy lights that we paid so much extra for to have like an outdoor setting. And the wedding planner came up to me and she said, look, there's a chance it's going to rain during, dinner. Do you want to move it inside or do you want to leave it outside? And I'm very practical, Jenny.
I know.
And I was just like, bring it in. If you can do it, bring it in. Yeah. Let's just do it. Let's make a decision and just be done with it.
Yeah.
And she was like, are you sure? Because like inside wasn't great. Like as in, I'm raging because I look back in photos. I'm like, oh, the room wasn't decorated. It was just this basic kind of
did
bar.
It rain?
It did. It trickled here and there. Like, because we went down.
Could you have managed?
I'm not sure. Do you know what? I just was like, I'm just making a decision. Yeah. But David was devastated, devastated. Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah. Like I said, I'd be very practical in that sense, whereas David would be a little bit more, oh, but what if like I make a decision, that's what we're doing, whereas David kind of lingers on decisions.
You're a nurse.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, you stick with it.
Will I not?
Will I not? I don't know.
Take a bit for an hour.
Yeah, I'll leave it for now. Go on my tea break. Bye. But no, so David kind of got a bit upset and I could kind of see him spiraling a little bit.
Oh.
So anyway, it was time for us to go get our photos. And our guests were all put into this tiny little bar area. And I was raging because we had organised this beautiful palm tree garden area for the, Anyway, we went to get our photos and it started to rain. And we were kind of getting a bit frustrated because we were going to go down onto the beach, but then the wind would blow and then like the water would be like in my face and my hair.
Forget it.
Yeah, so the photographers were like, we'll keep going. And I could see David was just getting more and more into himself and like not enjoying the process. And this had been going on for an hour now. So I just went up to him and I was like, right. I was like, look over there. And we looked over and there was like, everybody was having a great time. The party was happening. Everyone was having drinks.
And you want to be there.
And I was like, look at them having a great time. And look at us just trying to get photos. Yeah. Let's do it tomorrow. And I turned to the wedding planners. I was like, are you free tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, we could do tomorrow. I was like, I'll pay extra. I don't care. Yes. Let's do it tomorrow. And they were like, okay, we won't charge you because, because it was so nice. Yeah. They're like, because they could see the disaster. So they were like, okay, let's do tomorrow. No, sorry, it wasn't tomorrow. It was the day after the day 2.
Brilliant.
So they were like, right, let's do it. And we went back up and David just kind of pulled me aside and he was like, okay, I need a deep breath. And I was like, you do. And he just took a big deep breath.
And you need a Baileys on ice.
Yeah, a Baileys on ice. And I was like, don't be worrying. What will be, will be. Yeah. All that matters now is that we get absolutely lit and have a great time. That's how we did. But and one of David's sisters was with us at the time as well. And she was just on there like this. I think she was afraid to say anything because we were just like, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, we went back into the party and we had a ball.
Amazing.
And we made great use of the fairy lights then at the end of the evening. Like we got sparklers and it was amazing. Like it was so
And did your photographers hang around or did they leave?
They did. So the day kind of got delayed by about an hour and a half as well because someone held up the bus on so I had a bus organised to collect our guests and bring them to the Lady of the Rock and somebody held it up and as a result it had like a knock-on effect. So we had a string quartet and one of the string quartet people walked off because they didn't want to wait.
Are you joking me?
It was like this domino effect. So yeah, but it was a great day.
Did you not go, no? Do you know who I am?
No, not at all. Jesus, mortified. I was just like, whatever, let them go. I don't care. I was like, just get me there.
Oh my God.
So loads of things went wrong. And like, I suppose if you're listening and you're getting married,
yes,
things will go wrong.
Yes.
They will, and they won't go perfectly. Don't get bogged down. Yeah. Let them happen. Who gives a shit? Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if I was allowed to curse.
Yeah. You can say what you want. I don't care.
But I was like, who gives a shit? Like, I mean, I didn't mind. I really didn't mind. Now, like I said, David would. Do you know our wedding planners called him Groomzilla? They were like, "You're Groomzilla," because he was just onto them all the time. So what I'm saying is, don't be the David. He's gonna listen to this and kill me.
His ears are so burning right now.
I know. He's at home with Jake and Sydney. Oh, the poor fella. But no. But just what I will say is, try not to stress. Like things are gonna go wrong. Don't get bogged down the little things. Like pull yourself out of it if you do find that you're going down a bit of a rabbit hole being like, oh my God, this didn't happen. Like, I mean, even the Baileys situation. So we had said, can you please make sure that there's ice in glasses on people's tables when David's saying his speech. And of course, with all the move and everything inside, it just got forgotten about. And the staff were incredible that they were able to like do that in such a short time. But the Baileys and ice didn't come out. And I remember David saying his speech and I was like, I'm like, it wasn't happening. So Dave was like, so you should have some ice and glasses in front of you and your Baileys. Can you open them? And everybody was like, there's no glasses. And I was like, just open it and shut it. Just shut it. I was like, just take a sip out of it. So there's all these things that just went wrong. But like,
but did you have when you look back now, you had the best day.
It was a ball. And everyone, and I know like, I'm a bit biased, but everyone came up to us, Jenny, and was like, that was some wedding. Like it was mental. Like we all had a ball. We didn't do a sit down dinner. So Brilliant. Myself and David have gone to a few weddings and I'm just a bit like, I'm having the laugh, I'm having the drinks, and then I have to sit down for 3 hours. What's this?
I know.
And it's with people that I don't even know. And like, do you know, so I hated that. I don't like that element of weddings.
So many people don't like that element of weddings.
Long. And the food, like sometimes it's cold, it's not what you asked for. Anyway, I said that to Dave. I was like, if we're getting married, like I want to make sure that it's like just a buffet style wedding, and the Vidamar do the most incredible buffet.
Wow.
So when we had like the drinks and reception, myself and David came into the room, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Fitzpatrick or whatever, we sat down, and then the buffet opened, and everybody just went up and helped themselves. The room was buzzing. There was a guy on a guitar. The drinks were flowing. Like, it was really busy. And I loved that. That's what I love. And everyone came up to us afterwards and like, that was brilliant. Like,
amazing.
And they could take what they wanted.
And they didn't have to sit at a table for 3 hours.
And the drinks were flowing, and the energy in the room was just like
amazing.
And it was like, lots of people came up to us after us and was like, that was unreal. Like,
but you see, like, this is what I always say to couples as well. I know you've organised this, and this, but sometimes little things come up. And it's not what you planned, but you just have to go with it.
You just go with it.
And if you keep going on and on and on about it, you're actually wasting your time.
100%. And if you have a gut feeling about something, but you're not doing it because of the traditional way of getting married, you need to rethink, because I could have sat down and said, you know, I'd love to do like I'll do a sit down meal because, you know, that's what I'm supposed to do. Actually, I have to tell you this story, right? So one of my friends, she lives in Jersey now, right? And we were both getting married in the same year. And we were like back and forth on Instagram kind of chatting about like what we were doing and that. And then she was like, I just don't know what to like do for the dinner and that. And I was like, oh, why don't you do a buffet style? Like, and I had booked a buffet, and she was like, would you stop me? Mum would be rolling in her grave if she thought I was doing buffet. And I was like, well, I'm doing a buffet. And the two of us are like howling, sending voice notes to each other. Oh, so funny. But yeah, that was just gas. But like, I mean, it's not going to be, what you do is not going to please everybody.
Exactly.
But do it your way.
Yes.
Because yourself and your husband, or yourself and your wife, are going to be the only ones that it matters.
Absolutely.
Do you know? And I promise you, if you stay authentic to yourself, the day will feel a lot better.
Right. It'll feel right. And I always say that to couples. Like, obviously in Ireland, you know, we're big on our weddings, you know, and most of them take the same kind of structure, you know, and everything happens the same. I know. And you're following like a pattern. You're following a template. Make the template about you. Yeah, 100%. I always say that to 100%. Them, you know, so that you can enjoy the day. Like, and I always sort of feel when I'm taking couples away to, you know, do family bridal party and couple photos, I want to get through those as fast as I can and get beautiful imagery, which I thankfully do every time. But my main aim is to get them inside to their party, you know, so that they can enjoy that, because they are going to be sitting down for 2 or 3 hours having a meal, you know. And I love the fact that you did a buffet. Martin's sister got married a few years ago. I think she's married 7 years now, and they did a buffet, and I was like, isn't this so lovely? So relaxed. I didn't want formal. Like, I wanted people, they're all on their holidays, they came there to see us as well. I didn't want to seat them for like those few hours. I wanted them just. And what way was the seating then? So it's just a regular wedding. Like, it was like you had your tables with beautiful flowers in the middle. Like, it was stunning. Like, I must send you the photos. And basically then, like, because Vidamar, they specialise in the kind of buffet style wedding. Like, it's very Portuguese. They just had this area where they had these like beautiful meats and veggies and like, it was delicious, like, stunning, like fish, like, and you obviously pick what you want. Yes. And we just kind of tried to cater to everybody. Like, we had vegans there and that, and veggies. We were veggies at the time. And they just catered to it, and it just kept getting replaced. So people were going, like, my uncles were like, yes, this I'll have another helping. Yeah. And then like the desserts came out, like we cut the cake. So it was very like, it had the potential to be very formal, but like, you know, everybody just relaxed. And that's what I wanted. And that's what they liked. Yeah. They liked probably the fact they were on holidays, but that it wasn't the norm, you know? Yeah. And then we did the speeches, and the speeches were a laugh. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't very formal at all. Did you speak? Yeah, I did. And I was the longest speaking, and everybody was like, get this one down. So I was about 17 wines deep. I was like, I love you all. I love you. I love you. Thanks for being here. I think I mentioned everybody in the room. Like, it's like, I love you. Remember that time we were in Vietnam and we did this? Like, stop the lights. Like, David's probably pulling on your veil. Yeah, I remember my mom being like, so I had said to my dad and David's dad, I was like, we've like a 3-minute, 4-minute max, because we don't want to have like long speeches. And my dad was like, is she still going? Like, get her down. Like. What do you think of speeches at a wedding? I love them. Yeah. Personally, I love them because I think that you get a real insight
to the couple.
Yeah.
I love them, Jenny.
Yeah.
I know some people hate them, but that's my favourite part.
Yes. Yeah.
I love just hearing about, you know, stories when they were little. I love hearing from their siblings. Like, I love the crack. I love the slagging.
Yeah.
I just love the emotions that come with it.
But sometimes they can go on a bit too long and they're boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, I love listening.
But you see, I think I've been to more weddings than you.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
No, definitely.
Definitely. Probably they can be. But what I will say is, like, have people, like, give them a time limit. That's what we did do. We were like, look, don't go down a rabbit hole. Yes. And pick people that like you know. I know, Jesus, I'm the worst. Like, you'll be here for 3 hours. But yeah, I just think it's all about kind of getting people up there that you know are going to have the fun as well. My sister Cassie got up and absolutely roasted me. Like, roasted me. And then, like, said some lovely things at the end. But, like, I used to be a little terrorist when I was younger. Like, I was a full-on terrorist. I was the middle child and I tormented my older brother and sister and my younger brother and sister. And she got up and told stories and the whole room was like, you did that? And I was like, it's attention seeking, okay.
You two are like, I have to say, you two and David are the funniest couple. So let me talk about your podcast. How on earth did you, I mean, I'm not surprised that you're doing a podcast because the two of you are hilarious, but how did you even come up with that idea?
Do you know what? Like, we've always wanted to do something together.
Yes.
And like, obviously, like, David helps me with Instagram and that, but we were often on Instagram stories, or like, I'll record David say hoovering or whatever, and people really love it. And I always used to find that if I posted a picture of myself and David, the engagement would be huge. They'd just love it. Like, they just love David. I think he doesn't even realise how funny he is.
Oh, he's hilarious. He's so dry. Martin loves him.
Yeah.
But they love the two of you together and they want to see the other half of you.
Yeah,
you know?
The other half. So I suppose there's these little bits on Instagram. So we were driving one day and we often, like, something will come up where we'll talk about, like, something we've done.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of traveling. Like, we've done a lot of, like, we nearly died in Cuba. Like, we've just, like I say we nearly died, like, it was my fault. We've, like, climbed glaciers in New Zealand. Like,
how did you nearly die in Cuba? You can't leave that there.
Jenny. We talked about it on our podcast. Basically, we got to Cuba and we very stupidly just didn't have any money on us. We had, like, our cards and there was nowhere to get, like, money out of a machine. So, like, we get into this dodgy car. It was like a 1970s Chevrolet. This guy was like, yeah, I'll bring you to your hotel. And he you know when you get a bad feeling?
Yeah.
So we get into the car and I was like,
I'm afraid of my own shadow. Don't let me take you somewhere. Oh, jeez.
We didn't actually nearly die. I nearly died in the Bahamas, actually. Like, that was real. No, that was somewhere else. But anyway, so we get into the car and then we were on the way to the hotel and he said he'd stop off and bring us to an ATM. And he brought us down underneath this, like, motorway and there was, like, pipes dripping and it was like this dodgy part of Cuba. And he seemed fine, but I just had this really bad feeling. I wrote my notes to David because he spoke English, saying, I have a really bad feeling about this. Like, I don't know what to do. And David was like, it's fine. So David got out of the car and he was like, you stay in the car because the luggage was in the back.
Stay in the car?
Yeah.
No way.
But he didn't want to send me over to the ATM because there was people hanging around the ATM. And, like, he was like, you'll get fucking mugged if you go over there because they were just dodgy looking. And he was like, you stay in the car. He was like, I'm going over here to get money out. And he turned to the driver and he's like, nothing funny. He was like, you know, don't try anything.
Bye.
So
I'll be gone.
He went over. No, Jenny, it's so funny.
No, Jerry, no.
So I was sitting in the background and I was like, he's not going to take me. I was like, I'm on fire. Like, I was like, I'm going to get through this. So David went over to the ATM and I just got into my head he was going to kidnap me, right? So I opened the car door and I put one foot out and, like, left one foot in the car and I was like, you're not taking me. You're not going to take me. Like, I was just sort of like,
did you say that?
Yeah. I was like, you're not taking me. Don't try anything, right? And your man's just, like, sitting there with his Cuban cigar, like, what? And I was like, yeah, you're not taking me, buddy, right? Don't even think about it. And David came out back to the car and he was like, what just happened? But David said he was at the ATM looking at me and he could see me, like, melting off. And he was, like, trying to get the money out quicker. And then he came back to the car. I was like, what happened? And your man was like, your wife? She's crazy. And I was like, yeah. And I sat in the back, mortified. So anyway, we got to the hotel. He dropped us off and nothing happened.
Did you give him a tip?
Gave him the money and Dave was like, you're a nut job. And I was like, well, I was just letting him know. Like, me, fucking 53 kilos. Like, I don't even know.
Oh my God, I can't even cope.
It was so funny. So yeah, I say we nearly died, but, like, I think I saved us, Jenny. Like,
There was no such thing as a kidnapping.
Nothing I made up in my head, like, and totally reacted. But it was just the fact that he was so lovely and he was like just sitting there with the car going, what's the problem? And I was like, yeah, well, you're not taking me. One foot in the car. Like, if he decided to drive off, I'd be gone with him. Like, what's he thinking?
Oh my God, you are too funny. We need to go out and have drinks.
We need.
And we've no drinks now. Like, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. So talk to me then about the podcast. So it's been out how long? It's not out that long.
No, so we started in May and basically we're just kind of sharing stories like this. It's called 10 Down with Terrie and David, and we called it 10 Down because we're 10 years together this year.
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah, so 10 down, a lifetime to go. David's like, well, we call it next year. I was like, no, it's staying 10 down. It's just staying down. We can't do 11 down next year.
That's the name of it.
But yeah, we're just kind of sharing stories like over the years. We've done a lot of travelling, as I said. Like, we left on a one-way flight in 2015 and we did the same in 2017 from Australia and went all around the world. Like, we literally did a round the world trip twice. Like, we've travelled from Sydney. Like, we've done a bit of travelling here and there. We've travelled around Europe. Like, we've so many stories. And we were just driving along one day and we started talking about our stories, and he was like, this would be gold on a podcast. And often we're with people and they were like, you two need a podcast. Like, you did what? Like, we genuinely nearly died in Hawaii. Like, we were scuba diving and I went into nitrogen narcosis, and David got mask squeeze, so we genuinely did die. But like, when we tell the story, it's quite funny, and you have to have humour. But yeah, it's just kind of all about that, and then obviously like bringing in like how life has changed with a baby, and I think people really enjoy that kind of side of it as well because
it's normal.
Yeah, it's normal, and it's hectic, and it's funny, and it's crazy, and it's just all the madness, like the madness. I mean, it's amazing.
You're bringing them into your life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what they want to see, you know. So they see Terrie as would you call yourself an influencer or a blogger, or what do you call yourself?
That word, influencer, but I am. Technically I am, but I'm a content creator. Like, that's what I love to do online because I don't see myself like influencing people to do things. You
do though.
Yeah, I suppose, but like that's not my aim. It's like my aim is to just create nice content and like for people to enjoy and like to be also like a big sister online, to be like, this product's great, like, do you know, because I genuinely.
Now, can I ask you, right? Because like I get sent stuff, right? And if it's something I'll use, I'll talk about it. But if it's something I won't use, I won't talk about it. But
100%.
there's an awful lot of people out there who take the money and talk about it, and they don't use it, and that's a lie.
I think I think that practice was quite common a few years ago.
Yes.
If you get me. I think over the last few years, like, the girls who are really authentic are the ones that are still thriving, if you get me. And I think, and I say it all the time, like, I get asked to do like the wackiest jobs, or like I'll be sent a product to try, and we're about to get the deal across the line, and I'll just say like, look, I just don't think it works for me.
I'm
like,
delighted to hear that.
Like, there was a hair tool that I was supposed to be talking about there a couple of months back, and they sent it out to me to try, and the brand had great budget, and I tried it, and I was like, I cannot tell people to spend their money on this, because what will happen then, Jenny, is say, I don't know, Sarah from, I don't know, Dublin, she'll spend her money on what I've recommended.
I know.
She'll try it, and then she'll hate it, and she'll never trust me again. So therefore, like, my sales are like, you know, my influence, I suppose, is damaged, and it won't keep performing for the brand. So if you're genuinely talking about something that works and people buy it, do you know, like, it works well for the brand, works for you, and it works for the person buying.
It's about trust.
Trust,
It's all about trust.
So, and like, I'm very lucky as well. Like, I don't very often work with new brands. Like, I've worked with like the same brands for years. Like, so I'm sure people like hear, you know, me coming on to talk about something, and they're like, oh yeah, I know she uses that, and I know that's genuine, and I've seen her use it like for the past few years. So it's great to have those relationships with brands, and I really, really, really protect those. And like, you know, I love working with brands for a long time. Yeah. But it's such a funny industry. Like, do you know, like that, you see people that would kind of, you know, work with brands that, you know, they don't kind of work with them. Exactly. But like I said, I think it's quite rare now. I do think that people are a lot more authentic online. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I do. Like, I haven't seen that many people that, like, and again, as well as that, right? You have like products that might work for me. Yes. And then I'll see another influencer or another person online being like, I tried this and I didn't like it, and that's okay. Yeah. Do you know, because sometimes
it doesn't work for them.
It doesn't work for them. Like, I've seen that, like, where I'll like say talk about lipstick, and they're like, I actually didn't find that good. Like, do you know, but you can.
But you know what? If it's good for you, you're going to recommend it.
100%.
So you're absolutely telling the truth. Yeah. And before we finish our podcast, can we please talk about Sydney?
Sydney, I know.
When are you bringing her into me again?
I know.
The last time I saw her and held her, she was new.
I know, she was brand new.
And you don't share her face on Instagram.
No.
Which, can I say, fair play.
Really?
Yeah.
I fight with myself. I've never actually said this online, or I've never said this anywhere else.
Tell everybody now why you don't share her.
Well, I just think, like, to be honest with you, it was something that we talked about lightly when I was pregnant. Like, it was like, I think I'd mentioned it a few times, and I think it was just my motherly instinct.
Yes.
Because I think everybody just thought, like, they took it for granted that I'll just show her.
Yeah.
But a few times I was like, I'm not too sure if I'll show her. And Dave was like, we will. Like, you know, she'd be gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. And Jenny, the second she came out, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, it was like instincts came over me. Like, every bone in my body was like, protect her at all costs. And I've been burnt by social media in the past.
Yes.
And I think that had something to do with it. It was like, just protect her. Because if somebody said something about how she looked, and I've had people comment on Sydney in the past and they've never even seen her.
What?
Oh, yeah. Like,
are you on it?
Yeah. I've had people tell me that my child was overweight.
What?
Yeah. I've screenshots. I remember when she was born, I announced her name. People were slating her name. They were like abbreviating it and just like making it very horrible. And like just I've had that.
So we had a conversation at the beginning of this podcast, and we talked about people who leave messages. Now, whatever about them leaving messages about me, if it's about my child, I'm going to murder you.
Yeah, exactly. So
how do you cope with that?
I just think I feel like my motherly instincts really took over.
Yeah.
And as well as that, I say to David all the time, I don't know who Sydney is yet.
Yeah.
So myself, I'll give you an example. Myself and my sister, we look very similar. We are very similar. Myself and my sister Cassie, we're really, really similar.
Yeah.
But Cassie's very private online.
Right.
And I wouldn't be. Like, I would share a lot. Now, I've obviously keep a lot private as well, but I would be the one that was always singing, dancing and like, like wanting the attention.
Yeah.
Whereas Cassie wouldn't be. She'd be a lot more reserved. And I don't know who Sydney is yet. Is she Cassie or is she Terrie? Okay. And will she hate me in a few years' time for like posting her online?
Oh my God, that's so honest,
do you know?
Terrie.
And I can't make that decision for her. And if she comes to me when she's 13, 14, 15, oh ma'am, I'd like to be, on your social media. I probably wouldn't, to be honest with you. But like, if she does come to me, it's a conversation that we will have.
Yes.
And I will educate her about like, when you post something online, it's not just for your friends, it goes everywhere. And you need to be so careful. And I didn't have, like, we are the generation that grew up with this, Jenny.
Yes.
We were the first ones. Yes. And when I look back even on some Facebook posts, I'm like, oh, do you know what I mean? So I want her to have that, benefit of understanding the world of social media before she enters it. And as well as that, like, when you're a teenager, you're so vulnerable and you're so impressionable. And the last thing I want is like one of her friends to like tease her about like something that I posted like years ago, like say, I don't know, with her face in it and she's doing something silly and, or for her to like read something about herself and it's there and like say, because I had such complexes when I was a teenager, say like of how I look now. Sydney is beautiful. She's divine. And you've seen her. She's divine. Oh and God. It's really hard not to share.
I would rob her.
I know, she's so beautiful.
Oh God, well, look at her mother and her father. Of course she's beautiful.
Her daddy, I'm all makeup. But she's beautiful. And I just think when you're a teenager, say, you're so impressionable, and like say if she looked something up and they were like, oh, she looks a certain way, or they commented on how she looked and how would she digest that, I don't know. So I just don't know who she is yet, and that's not my decision to make.
Okay.
It's just not up to me, and that's how I feel about it. Now in saying that, I love looking at other people's kids online.
Yes.
I'm such a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
Like, I love looking at people online. I love looking at their kids. I love looking at their relationship. More power to them. If that's what you feel is right for you, you go ahead and do it. And if you feel like you're doing the best by your child and you're protecting them online, you do that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I just can't bring myself to do it. I just can't bring myself to do it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's just mad, isn't it? Like, and like I said, I battle with myself all the time because David said to me recently, like, like she would... If say we put her into modelling or something like that, or, like I was offered to do a shoot with her recently and he was like, she would look amazing. Like she, she'd do really well from it. Are we holding her back? Like, could she be, the face of like fucking lifestyle sports in a few years? Like all of these things that you think of.
What's your gut telling you, Terrie?
Oh, it's just telling me she doesn't need that right now in her life.
Yeah.
She's a baby.
Well, then go with your gut.
She's a baby and I don't want 270,000 adults looking at her, and I don't know where those pictures will go.
Yes.
And I don't know about the dark web, and I hear all these stories, and I don't want to like expose her to fecking crazies online. Like, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I know I share like her walking about and this, that and the other.
Yeah, but you don't show her face.
But I don't show her face. And like, my sister does have Sydney quite a lot. And people wouldn't know that she's my child.
Yeah.
And I remember 4 or 5 years ago being in a shopping centre, and I actually walked up to a child that I know is well known online, and I was like, "Hi, I know your mammy."
Yeah.
And the person that was minding them was like, "Hi." And I could tell that people do that all the time.
Yeah.
And it just freaked me out.
Yeah.
It just freaked me out. I was like, I recognise that child, like, without their parents.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know? And it's just safety as well.
I totally get where you're coming from. So like, I mean, my children are a lot older than Sydney. Like my youngest is 20, and I don't share them online unless they want to be shared. And I've never done that. Martin doesn't do it either. Yeah. Like, as public as Martin is, obviously, in his job, and obviously I don't have as many followers as you, but I don't show what goes on with my kids unless they want to be in photos. Unless, like, you know, my book launch, you know, that's different, you know.
And your kids are gorgeous as well.
Oh, do you know what? Oh, they're so tight, Terrie. So we have 5 children. So we have 4 boys and a girl. And the eldest is 33 and the youngest is 20. And they are as tight as you like, you know. So they remind me of Martin, and some of them remind me of me. But I don't share them unless they want to be shared. So I get that. So on that note, Terrie,
I know that flew by.
Like,
How long were you?
I actually don't know. We could have been talking for an hour, but like, I had so many questions for you, and I think you've answered all of them. But our next meeting is going to be over a bottle of wine. The 4 of us together.
We should go to Lennon's Yard. Have you been there?
No,
it's fab.
Where's that?
It's amazing. Do you know what? I'd get lost in a box. I just follow Google Maps. I've travelled the world, but I don't know where I am.
That's exactly like me. I travel the country
everywhere.
I don't know where I am. Can I just tell everybody, you know, when I'm going down the country and I'm going to different hotels that I've been, I actually follow Google Maps.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to Adair Manor tomorrow.
Yeah. Fab.
No, but I have to follow Google.
100%.
They heard me saying that, like, honest to God. So anyway, come here.
Thank you for having me.
so much.
Thank you.
I just absolutely will be listening to all your podcasts. And myself and my husband are bringing out our own podcast, which are very...
I'm so excited for this.
I'll tell you the name.
Go on.
An Audience with the King and His Queen.
Very good. I love it. Very good.
That was all Martin. So
very good.
So we'll have our podcast. So we'll have to come on each other's podcast.
Yes, definitely. Myself and David are probably going to be in here now soon because the sitting room just isn't cutting it.
Terrie, thank you
so much for having me, Jenny.
so much. And I'd say everyone's just going to love this chat.
Thank you. You're so good. Bye.